Hello folks, and welcome to this review of FS2Crew, or rather Flight Crew A320 for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. I have had the opportunity of receiving this code as a review code from the developers, and normally it has a price of just under 20 euros, 19.95 euros on their store, and the appeal is very interesting. For those who don't know, this application, what it does is basically gives you a co-pilot who will go through the checklists as you're flying. It also has a cabin PA system and some purser communications, which adds some kind of realism to it. There's also some procedures right before takeoff or before when you're still setting up the plane. You can get this 30-minute option where you get loadout sheet and all of that, but you can kind of skip through that. That's not necessary, necessarily. There are also some different voice sets, US, UK, and EU for German pilots. I think there's also 2 US ones with a female version, and most importantly, we also get this co-pilot, you actually get flight crew callouts, so V1, rotate, etc. I don't think you get V2, but then again, normally you don't actually get V2 callouts nowadays, as far as I understand, in modern airliners. What else? Well, so here's the thing. You have to plug in the velocities in the settings panel. You have to make sure that when you're using this application, it's not integrated into Flight Simulator. It's a separate application that you have to run separately, and it is integrated in the sense that you have to get a keybind to work with it, and it can read what's happening as you're flying the plane, right? However, as it stands in October, the end of October 2020, there's still no integration between the two, so your co-pilot basically cannot do much on the actual airplane, except for basically taking down the gear automatically and the flaps. At some point early on, I was also, even though I was turning that off, the co-pilot was still doing that, but that has been fixed since, and that's nice to see. So basically right now it's just a glorified call-out machine of a checklist. And it does, sometimes it will notice that you haven't done something, and I think it's either yourself or the co-pilot will say, "Are you sure about that?" And then you do it, you click the next button, and it works out. Now, my personal feelings about this is that for 20 euros, currently as it stands, I'm not really sure I would actually purchase this myself. Again, it is a great appeal, and if you do love the callouts, I think it's a great thing that's there. The interactions with the cabin, they're kind of shallow, but that's also there. However, personally, I do feel like because the co-pilot cannot do much as of yet, there is very little that I actually get from it. And not only that, but if you have the A320NX mod installed, currently in version 0.4 as of recording this, it's still also not integrated between these two. And so, say you're flying vanilla, you have a default checklist for your plane. You might have a checklist physically with yourself as you're flying that's slightly different from the checklist in the plane. And then, on top of that, you have your checklist from FS2Crew, which the co-pilot calls out. And keeping there are some discrepancies between all these checklists, slight order differences. Some of them will call for a little bit more, some will call for a little bit less, and it can be quite confusing, especially if your co-pilot doesn't do any of these flows for you. And this is especially pronounced currently with the A320NX mod, because the checklists there are more a lot larger. There are a lot more flows to actually go through, and so it becomes quite frustrating. It just becomes another thing that you have to keep track of. And even with the buttons, maybe it's a personal thing, but the buttons I've assigned on my joystick. No, they don't always work, so sometimes I have to tab out and then tab into the Crew FS2Crew app again. However, that said, I've been in contact with the developer of Flight Crew A320, and they have assured me that there will be integration, hopefully, with the A320 NX mod in the future, so that the flows will all work out together. But they don't know when that's coming. It's only, at this point, it's only speculation, because the SDK has to be updated for that actually to work out, and that's actually up to Asobo. So it's neither Flight Crew's fault or FS2Crew or the mod developers. I think it's more of an SDK Asobo problem in that case. So if you're willing to invest in this for the future, I'm sure it might actually be interesting if you really want that co-pilot feeling and that variation voices that you can get. You even get slight radio frequency differences, so you can pretend like you're hearing the person through your headset instead. But if you're just looking for something that will help you fly and actually act like a co-pilot, I'm not sure this is right there just yet. But I'm looking forward to knowing and seeing how this develops in the near future. Perhaps in a year or two I will return to this, and we will see where it is at that point, and it might be a totally different experience. Hopefully this will also have integration with other Airbuses that will come along in the future and released by other developers for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. I hope you've enjoyed this review and that is giving you some idea of whether to purchase this or not. Of course, this is up to yourself, and a lot of these opinions are relevant only to my personal experience. I'll be releasing a lot more Flight Simulator content in the future, and I hope you stay tuned for that. If you have any suggestions for other programs that I should try, or if I'm doing something wrong, please let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Please leave a like, it really helps out, and of course subscribe for more if you haven't already. This has been GameGapster. Thank you so much for watching. Farewell.